Shows obviously huge plumes of black smoke going into the sky, but it also shows a lot of people sort of milling around and a few cars parked up. And we're just hearing a lot of artillery noise, actually. A lot of firing going on. Yeah, there we go. We're seeing a picture of what looks like ground-to-air missiles or mortars being fired by the rebels, clearly pointed at the sky. This is their defence against Gaddafi's warplanes, isn't it?
Yes, and all they can do is to fire at the sky. And I have to say that before we approach the front line, there has been intensive circling in the skies by Gaddafi warplanes. This is not just one or two isolated sorties. They were going round and round and round intensively for half an hour or more. And then it was about an hour ago, Julie, you and I were talking when the aircraft came in again. There has been a lull in terms of air power for a short period of time. We've been watching from our foxhole rockets being fired towards the Gaddafi ground troops. And the point at which our conversation was interrupted was when the warplane swept in again, evidently cutting my signal. And that was when we saw another bomb dropped again towards the coast, within the perimeter fence of the oil facility, but not actually close to the storage depot itself. So at least 4 bombs were dropped from overhead. We could see 3 clear plumes of smoke, including the one closest to us, which was that huge column of smoke with flames leaping 100 or so meters up into the sky. But then another, the last bomb that we saw dropped from the sky, was further to the east of there, at the oil facility. And it was then that the mortar fire became intense. And we had to flee from that position.
I can hear sirens in the background, Jackie. Presumably there's a lot of movement of medics and medical equipment. Do we have any idea about casualty figures or how hospitals are set up for dealing with them?
We don't have any figures for casualties at the moment. I mean, we're really in the thick of it. As we were riding on the back of a pickup jeep that we flagged down to take us to the oil storage facility, we saw parked along the roadside maybe half a dozen ambulances. They were there and they were ready. They were all pointing in the direction that they needed to head. They were already pointed and ready to head east and to take the wounded back to hospital. We saw doctors in their medical scrubs standing at the roadside. They don't go, obviously, right to the front line, but they were waiting for various pickup trucks to ferry the wounded to them. And then we saw ambulances moving at huge speed to the east, often with military pickups, these kind of technical vehicles that they've created with machine guns, automatic weapons mounted on the back, really acting as outriders, providing a kind of advanced convoy to clear the road so that the ambulances could progress at great speed towards the east. Now, the hospital at Ras Lanuf, which would be the closest medical facility to the front line, is currently almost unable to function. A bomb on Tuesday, dropped by a pro-Gaddafi aircraft, broke the warplane, cutting off the supply to the hospital. We saw doctors trying to use bottled water. We saw really case after case of bottles, plastic bottles of water piled up in the corridors and outside the hospital. Doctors told us they were in an impossible situation. How could they hope to maintain a sterile working environment with no water? So they said what they were doing there was literally the first point of care, getting the wounded fighters into a stable condition so that they could then be transported in ambulances at speed east towards the towns of Brega and AlJazeera, where they could get more thorough medical care.
Jackie, we'll leave it there. Do stay safe. Thank you very much indeed for that update. Jackie Rowland reporting from outside Ras Lanuf, which is currently under attack. Fights taking place there between Gaddafi forces and the protesters. Let's speak to Awad El Fatouri, who's with me in the studio from the Libyan Information Centre, which is an anti-Gaddafi advocacy group based here in Doha. Awad, when we see pictures like this of the battle that's going on in Ras Lanuf, we know that there was another battle going on in Bin Jawad. We know that tanks are surrounding Zawiya to the west of Tripoli. Do you worry that the momentum of the protest seems to be being slowed by Gaddafi's forces?
It might be slow, but it will never stop. This is the main thing. when this uprising started slower than what we see now. Started with less weapons in the hand of the revolutionaries, but it did carried on, and they did defeat Gaddafi in the whole east of the country. It's a true Gaddafi now using his air force. What we see now, I hope that will make the whole world step in and impose the no-fly zone. What we see here, I never seen it before. Children, women, old men, and armed civilian people being killed for just being in the scene there.
Well, who's carrying out these attacks? Because we were told that a lot of foreign fighters are fighting for Gaddafi. A lot of his own people didn't want to fire on fellow citizens. What are you hearing about?
We hear that
the attacks?
The people who carry out the attacks, the pilots are from Algeria and some from Russia. But definitely, I can't confirm about the Russian pilots, but the Algerian, I can confirm that, and I can say that confidently, they are from Algeria. And I hope that the Algerian government do something about it, refrain from sending these people, or do the Libyan people during the Algerian revolutionary were supporting the Algerian revolution, and I don't think they deserve what the Algerians doing to them now.
Of course, the amazing thing about this is that the people in Tripoli have very little access to pictures like these that we're showing on Al Jazeera. How much information are Tripoli residents getting about what's going on elsewhere in the country?
They live under siege. They live in total fear. I've just been to a friend of mine, and he couldn't speak with me longer than 30 seconds, and he said, you have to cut off this call, because they can find out who's speaking to you. And if they find out, I'm in trouble. He told me forces get in houses, taking young people from houses and collect them in barracks. Now the television, the official television showed about 100 or so young people beaten up, saying that they've been forced to join the revolutionaries and they didn't want to join them in the first place, but this revolution forced them to do so. This cheap propaganda Gaddafi is doing, and he's repeating. This is the situation people live in Tripoli. Almost in every street, there is cars, security cars with weapons. Anybody gets out of the house, he can be shot for just getting out of this house.
Okay, Awad, thanks very much indeed for that. Awad El-Fattoury there for us. Okay, well, let's go back to one of the earlier lines we were reporting out of Libya, the fact that 3 jets had taken off from Tripoli, all belonging to the Gaddafi family. One of them has arrived in Cairo